Okay, cool. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, like I was saying, just some things I want to say in case you haven't seen them. The quickest way to get and stay in notification wise in our Hustle and Slay group is there is a little like bell to turn on notifications, but is if you are engaging inside the group, like when we comment something and you go and comment, similar to other groups that you're in, if you're not active inside the group, really the algorithm's not going to pull the group around to you. So if there's things you're missing in there or you're not seeing it very often, try to just like remind yourself to go in there once a day and comment on something, and it will start coming up on your feed more often. Because I know some people are at everyone or anti at everyone, but I feel like it's a great way to get everyone's attention. So I know it bothers people sometimes, but I don't do it all the time. But like for example, Jess will drop her superhero or superpower Google Doc. I drop my social media Google Doc. We want you guys to be able to see that and use it, or it's like kind of pointless to be there anyway. So if I add everyone in those, that way you can come in and you can just like, if you like it, love it, you comment on it, it's going to start bringing up the group for you more. And we do post certain things that we're giving out, like resources, tools, will only be posted in there. So I know sometimes people message me and they haven't seen it and it's in there. Just go give it like a quick scroll. That is your guys' community to utilize too. Like questions, anything you have, like that is really what that's there for. We would love to build a strong community in there where people are like, I just saw someone the other day, Jess was talking about it. So I like immediately messaged her. She's like, does anybody have a podcast or want to be on my podcast? Like, if there are things like that where you can collaborate with people inside of your business and feel that it's going to be beneficial for you, go in there and say like, hey, I'd love to go live with someone who has been an entrepreneur and see success, or, someone that has really good mindset tips, anything like that. That's your guys' place to do that. And that's another way for you to create more content. So hopefully that's helpful to you. If it's something, if it's something bad, we'll just decline it. So don't worry. No, I'm just kidding. But that is your spot. So I want to talk today about planning for execution. And I don't know why when I say the word execution, I always think of like the worst thing, but I couldn't think of a better word other than execution. And I think that this for me is important because who agrees that there is this very awkward time between Christmas and New Year's where you're kind of like, don't know what you're doing. You don't know like what year you're in. Are you supposed to start your resolution? Are you supposed to like start the new things? It's kind of, and you're in this Christmas hangover, you're getting life back. You're getting your calendars, right, Kristen? I have not gotten a calendar. I'm going to try to go digital in 2023. That is my goal, is to have a digital calendar, because I just have way too many notebooks and I feel like I get overwhelmed with the amount of things I have. So I'm going to try to do that. That's just my goal. You do what works best for you. I know I had a big desk calendar this year. It was very helpful. And again, that's a whole part of planning for execution, right? Like having a calendar, having things organized for you. And so I think in this time of the, awkward right after Christmas to New Year's time is really sometimes for people to realign. And I made a post the other day or yesterday about just taking some time off social media this last weekend, because I'm on there quite often. And I know exactly what can happen to people when they are on there too much. And, let's say they are not feeling aligned exactly with what they're doing, or maybe they're just feeling like it took up their whole weekend. They weren't able to be present with their family on Christmas. You create this natural burnout in yourself where you're going to feel like you're constantly, and most of the time, I'm just going to be the tough love person for you. Most of the time, you're just doing busy work when you're on your phone, or when you're really on there, doing something that has nothing to do with your business, but you felt like you were working all day. And I'm just being transparent because I've been there for days where I'm like, oh, I was on my phone. And then I was like, okay, but actually, like, did I do busy work or was I actually productive? So one thing that I've really learned in the last 7 years working online, and probably the 5 of coaching people on social media, is that people have a hard time staying consistent when they're not seeing results, especially when it's not instant results, because I know I'm results driven. If I don't get results pretty fast with something, I want to pivot and I want to do something different. And you don't have to agree with me, but I can say that I just know from working with people that if they're not seeing some kind of results, they have a hard time saying, okay, that works. And, I like compare it to going to the gym and exercising. It's very difficult for me because sometimes I don't see the results instantly. So then at 5 a.m. when it's time to get up and run on the treadmill, I'm like, oh, I don't feel like doing it. But then I trigger my own brain. I literally trigger my own brain. This morning I did it. I was like, but yesterday you ate one of Jess's peanut butter cookies, so you better go get on that treadmill. Because you promised yourself if you were going to eat the cookie, you were going to get on the treadmill. So maybe you have to start triggering your mind to start doing things like that when it comes to doing things that are not feeling like they're getting instant results, because nothing, and I think what I have learned too in entrepreneurship in 7 years is that this is a marathon. It's not like it's not a quick race, it's a marathon. Most of the time, some things that will happen, consistent results, all that stuff. Sometimes it happens for people overnight, and I wish and pray that it happens for all of you overnight, but most of the time it doesn't. That's just the true facts. We have to stay consistent. And I saw this quote from Tony Robbins that I wanted to share, and it's progress equals happiness. If you keep growing, you're going to feel alive. And if you keep growing, you're going to have more to give. And when you're growing and giving, life is magnificent. And that's what I think is important too. Maybe you felt stagnant in your business in 2022, but because you weren't doing any new things that were making you grow. I think I've said this here before, but I said it on my social media. I'm a Pisces, okay? So I'm a body of water. And if I don't move, I become a stagnant swamp and I will collect bacteria. If you allow me to become an ocean and have movement and space, I can create lots of wildlife, right? I can move to all over the place. I'm always moving current, right? Compare that to your business. And it kind of goes the same way. If you haven't done something to change something in your business in the last year, as far as social media, if you're going to keep doing those same things this next year, you're going to keep seeing those same results. And even if maybe you are doing, and I'm just going off the top of my head, maybe you're doing lives, but they have no relevancy to your brand or your business or, your niche and your hobbies. Maybe you are doing TikToks, but they have no relevancy to your brand, your niche, your hobbies. So sometimes, you think you're doing all the things, but really what's the connection? Is there a connection to your business, or is it just kind of you doing like a hobby thing? Which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. You want to do things that bring you joy, okay? But if you are saying I'm not seeing results and I'm posting all the time, I want you to look at exactly what you're doing. And if it aligns with your brand and your business and really what you're trying to promote, right? Is it valuable content? Is it something someone's going to either laugh at, feel inspired by, have an urge to share it with someone? I know I see Kevin Mullins on here. Like, I love his reels in the morning because they're like little tidbits of motivation. And that's very shareable content for people because they're going to go, oh my gosh, that was motivational to me. I'm going to share it out. So think about how you can do simple things like that in the morning, maybe that you do in the morning to get your day started. Like Kristen, getting up and exercising immediately. Like, hey, here's my little motivational tip. Take 15 minutes and move your body today. It will pump endorphins and you will feel so much better. Have a great day, right? Like valuable, shareable content. And that's the biggest thing about social media and digital marketing in 2023. It's going to move far away from trending stuff and more into original content. And if that scares you, you're just going to have to rip that Band-Aid off because we all have original content. Every single person on this screen that listens to this podcast, you can message me on Facebook and I might regret this, but I can tell you one thing that you have that is valuable to someone else, every single person. It's not hard to do. We just kind of overcomplicate it in our own heads, or we think it's not valuable. We think it's stupid. But I think about when we revert back to business too, right? Like sometimes we make things so difficult when we're explaining it to a new prospect. If we just kept it simple, keep it stupid simple, right? Like when I joined my business, I didn't need to know, I didn't know all of the things. So if someone would have came and fire hosed me with all the information that they knew, I would have instantly felt like I needed to know it all or it wouldn't work. Or like, wow, that's way too much. I can't intake all of that, right? So it was ironic this morning. I opened up this book. I don't know, ironic, coincidental, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. I feel like there's a better word for it, but I can't think of it right now. And sometimes I get in this really awesome habit where I read 14 books at one time and I forget what's going on in each of them. So you're not alone if that's you. But I've been wanting to read this book for a long time. And I want Haas to make a little desk on my treadmill so I can read while I'm walking. And I do Audible too, but there's something about like having a good hard book in your hand that you can highlight, you can write in. And it made me really connect with today. As soon as I opened it up, sometimes I do this thing where I just like open up a book and I'm like, I want to see if like whatever God wants me to do that day is inside of that piece. And today it was like, bam, it was right there. And I was like, how cool. So it's called this method, let's say that. There's the flywheel effect and the doom loop. And I felt it was very relatable to what people do on social media for their business. And I found it very intriguing, and that's why I want to share it with you. The book, if you want to know, is called Good to Great by Jim Collins. Hope I have the blurry on, okay. It is more like based on companies, but I find just reading it this morning, I found a lot of it very relatable to just small business owners, entrepreneurs. I think too, it's sometimes good to see, like he was talking about a recession, and it was a time where Gillette razor was invented in that time. So I think it's cool to see results from other people, because again, if we're not seeing results, if we're not seeing some kind of engagement, something happening, we start getting in this doom loop. So the flywheel effect, first, I always like good news first when someone tells you good news or bad news. So we'll do the flywheel effect first. And I'm going to put a picture of these inside the Hustle and Slay page so that you can see them, because there's a literal like little circle thing, circle graph. But the flywheel effect, the way it works, okay, is the first, and it's a circle again, it goes like in arrows, and each thing is happening because of the next thing. The first one is steps forward, consistency, which leads to visible results, which leads to people lining up and people energized by the results, which leads to the flywheel building momentum, and then goes back to the steps and the consistency. So think about, if you start doing things consistently in 2023 that you know are going to grow your business, and I'm going to push to the heck because I know what we're providing is so much value. This 21-day challenge, if you're someone that feels burnt out with social media, feels like you need to switch it up, feels like you need to build this flywheel effect, you're going to want to get in our 21-day challenge, because we are over providing in there. We want to make sure, because again, I'm results driven. I know Jess is the same way. I'm not going to sit here and say, do this if it doesn't work. That's a waste of my time and your time. I love, like, it's like Christmas giving to me. When someone messages me and they're like, oh, I went live and someone messaged me and it was just such a great feeling and I loved it. Thank you so much, Sydnee. I'm like cup filled for the rest of the day. I could go to bed as a happy camper. And if every day I could have every single person in our group saying that to me, that is literally what continues to align me with what I do. I enjoy it. So think about that flywheel effect. You start doing something that is consistent, whether it's going live, reels, showing up on more platforms. Maybe it's just promoting more of your brand and your business, because you didn't do that very much in 2022. I know that for myself. I was like, oh, I'm going full brand in 2023. I forget what year it is sometimes. I'm going full brand, full Sydnee Sleiman. So the steps forward with consistency, right? Then they're going to accumulate results. You do anything consistent, you're going to see results. You run every morning, you're going to be less out of breath the next, 30 days. You're going to start losing inches. You start, let's say you start praying every morning, you start reading the Bible, you're going to start seeing visible results and things that you're doing consistently. It is just facts. It's absolute facts. But what happens is most time people between the steps forward and consistency and seeing visible results, they quit somewhere in the middle, because maybe they got sick and they fell off for a week and they don't know where to get back started. Someone said something stupid on their live and they didn't know what to say, which, you guys, that happens so often. Like, you're not alone when stuff like that happens, or someone comments something on your reel that is offensive to you. That always happens. But you honestly have to remember that there are going to be people that disagree with what you do, that don't like, you just because you're you, right? Like, you can be the juiciest peach in the bunch, but there's still going to be someone who hates peaches. It's just life. So check that off your list of things, because as you start becoming more visible on more platforms, you're just going to have more eyes on you. So worry less about those. I worry more about the one person that's like, oh my gosh, I love this. I'm like, great. I just want to be with you forever. Forget everybody else. So some reason in between that part, people quit. And there's actually like an arrow that goes out in the book, because in between that part, that's where people start to quit. I didn't have any bookmarks, so I had to stick pens in here, so I can't keep lifting it up. Sorry. I didn't have any bookmarks. Can you believe that? So this whole thing that works around consistent results, or consistent action, seeing results, then getting energized by your results. Because I don't know about you guys, but there's nothing more that makes me happier than when I'm doing something and I'm seeing results from it. That's momentum. That's what makes people have happiness, right? Like the quote in the beginning, progress equals happiness. Someone who's staying in the same place, getting the same results, probably wondering why they want more out of life, why they're not getting the income they're looking for, why they're not getting the impact that they're looking for. And then obviously the flywheel continues to build momentum. So as you keep doing those things, you keep seeing results with something, you're going to keep doing it. I don't go live at like I was going to say every day. I haven't done that in a while, but I don't go live consistently for the last 5 years because I like to look at myself, or for any of those reasons, right? I know that I get consistent results when I go live. I know that there are people who will message me, people who will start to follow me, places I can share them out. I know that I create results with that. And that's, for me, I'm not going to stop doing that because I know it works for me, right? And the biggest thing that people find, I think, when they're flying out of this flywheel is they haven't really figured out what works for them yet because they haven't tried. And just take that in for a second. Maybe you haven't tried yet. Maybe that's why, because you're trying to do all the things and you haven't focused down on one thing. Maybe it's like focusing on your brand and your business. Maybe it's focusing on something, you're really good at talking about, or that gets you really good engagement. And maybe you don't know what that is, but then you've got to start trying and executing so that you can figure out exactly what that is. Instead of just doing all the things, talking about your product, talking about your business, talking about yourself, talking about your kids, talking about what you're doing next weekend. Like it's a lot, right? And that's where people get confused, overwhelmed, and burnt out. So then what creates is the doom loop. So there's a couple companies in this book that he talks about that I didn't realize they went through the doom loop multiple times. And again, that's why I think it's cool to look at stuff like this, because you can look and see that there are other people who have gone through the same thing. Another really good book, always recommending books. We're going to have to make a book list, an updated one, but it's called The Dip. And it happens in people's businesses. You cannot sit in the dip. You can sit in the dip if you want to, if you want to, but my recommendation is to just roll through it and keep going, because ebbs and flows just happen. It's natural. Everybody on the screen, everybody in business, everybody in the world can tell you in their life there's been ebbs and flows. So don't feel like you're like alone on a planet if things aren't going the way you want right now. So there's the doom loop, okay? So the way the doom loop works, I don't want my pens to fall out. Actually, I just had a Pokemon card in there. So there's an arrow going out, and I'm going to put a picture of all these in the Hustle and Slay, so don't worry. But the way that the doom loop works is, let's say, for example, okay, here it's a little bit different because it's relating to companies. So I'm going to relate it more to social media. But new direction, program, event, acquisition, okay, let's say you decide for 2023 in January, February, the first quarter, you're going to go live consistently once a week. And during that time, there is no buildup, no accumulated momentum for whatever reason. Maybe they were all over the place. Maybe they weren't fully on brand. Maybe you weren't sharing them out. Maybe you were just going live and sometimes you see those people going live and you hop off because you're like, what the heck are they talking about? Like, don't just do it to do it sometimes, okay? Sometimes that's why you won't see me for a week or some, because I'm like, I'm not just doing it to do it. I got to do it to like really create value, have my energy on point, feel inspired. And then what happens after no momentum? Disappointing results. You're disappointed because you worked really hard. You tried to go live every single day or every single week for 3 months and you didn't get any results that you wanted. So you're disappointed. And then the third one, it's my favorite, is reaction without understanding. That's when people go, you know what, I quit. This is so stupid. I'm not doing social media. I'm not doing TikToks anymore. I'm not seeing results that I want to, without really looking back and going, oh crap, all my TikToks were all over the place. I was cooking in one. I was talking about my business and my brand in another. Over here, I was, I'm just trying to think of all the things I do. Maybe you were trail riding up north. I don't know, right? And there's always ways to take the content you have and connect them to your brand. But sometimes you've got to think before you're doing something, or even after, right? Was this like totally off brand? Was this like had nothing to do with anything? Should I maybe have just called my accountability partner or my mom and said that to her rather than make like a TikTok or a reel or a post about it or go live about it? So most time people have this reaction without understanding. And that's when they go, you know what? I'm never going live again. Sydnee is a liar. It never works, right? And so then you go in this vicious circle where, again, you're going to try something new. Oh, here, let me try reels now. Let me see if that works for me. Try that. No buildup, no momentum, disappointing results, reaction without understanding. I'm done with social media. Never being on here again. This place is stupid, right? So sometimes And I wanted to show the doom loop because I know people who have gotten in there without really evaluating their results, without saying, okay, I have a plan for execution in 2023. I'm going to do all of these things for a consistent amount of time before I say it didn't work. And when it doesn't, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to pivot. I'm going to look at something else. And the only reason I know this message is true, you guys, because I've been through them both. I have made it through the flywheel effect, and I've made it through the doom loop on my social media and in life, right? So I can tell you that there is truth in that. And what I've found, and that's why I said, take this next couple days to really realign yourself and say, okay, what do I want in my business in 2023? Who am I going to be on social media? How am I going to brand more of myself? Maybe for you, it's just showing up more. Maybe you did a crappy job of showing up in 2022. That's okay. We're moving on, right? You can start something new. You can start planning to execute in 2023 consistently. Because what I find is people execute, or they execute for, a week or two, and they're like, ooh, this is so fun. I'm getting results. And then again, something happens where they fall off and they get into this like disappointing results, and then they're mad. So just remember, and this is why I have created inside the 21-day challenge too, there's a whole, I don't know if I'm supposed to tell you this. I've created ways for you to use any content that you currently have for anything. Like I'm talking videos from last year, I don't care. But start filming all content that you do. I filmed myself doing the dishes yesterday, and my son was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm using this for something in the future, right? Because when there's an opportunity for me to create content, I'm not going to miss that opportunity because I didn't have anything. I didn't film anything. Probably why I have 20,000 videos on my phone. But you swimming on the lake in the summertime, it doesn't matter, it's December in Michigan, right? We can use all of this content. I do not, Kristen. I probably should. I'm the type of person, I'm organized chaos. So it really, for me too, it's just a vibe. Sometimes I'm like, I'll see maybe something that is very relatable and I want to use it. Okay, thanks for sharing. Okay, thank you. Oh my gosh. This, at the age of 6 years old, I haven't decided if I like it yet that much. He's kind of scaring me. Okay, so yes, you can create things like that, Kristen, but sometimes I just go by like month and year and I find whatever it is in my phone. I don't make my life hard, you guys, too. Like if I'm on Instagram or TikTok and I see a similar piece of content that I like, I basically mimic it to a T. I just add in my own stuff. Like I saw this lady make a whole post about what she can do in her business while she was unloading her dishwasher. And I was like, I'm going to go do that. She had like, I don't even know, 200,000 views and all of these comments asking people asking questions. So I screenshot the content and then I create my own video and I just put in wording that matches myself, right? Because you're not going to be the same wording as everybody else, but that familiar content that you're like, wow, that really worked for someone, I want to try it out. That's what that's for. That's how you plan to execute. That's how you learn what's working for you and you pivot and say, oh my gosh, this really works. Short form videos really work. And because next year when all the trends kind of disappear and it's more original content, you're going to feel way more comfortable in front of the camera versus if you're just ripping off that Band-Aid right at original content, right? Right when you're like, oh crap, I have no idea what to talk about or what to do. So in 2023, if you hate lives, are you ready to do more of them? If you hate Reels or TikToks, are you going to take extra time to make it easier for you? I don't have a degree in any of this stuff. I have a Google University degree and a YouTube University degree. That's it. And if I need to find anything else out, I will search until I'm blue in the face. That's how I figure stuff out. And anyone can understand anything if you take the time to break it down and make it simple. And that's really what we're doing here. And I don't want you to like freak out on that too much because you have me. That's what I'm here for in this group, is to help you utilize this stuff. But if you don't plan for execution and say that I'm going to do something different in the next 3, 6, 12 months, you're going to keep showing the same movie to the same people. You're going to keep getting the same reactions. And then you're going to keep having those same reactions of disappointment. And it's not you. It's not that something's wrong with you. You've just got to flip something up. You've got to see what's working and start utilizing what's working and doing more of that times 10, depending on what you want for your business. Maybe that's times 5 for you, right? But that's why I kept pushing today, the leveling up in 2023 for digital marketing, for content creation. You're going to see a lot of people doing stuff, all kinds of things now, right? We even got real estate agents going ham on social media now. I'm like, wow, I've never seen so many people promoting on social media. So you're going to have to stick out of the crowd a little bit so that someone will stop and look at your stuff. You're going to have to stick out of the crowd, and whatever that looks like for you, humor, motivation, inspiration, dedication, those types of things that are going to help you stand out in the crowd to everybody else. And don't feel overwhelmed by that. So take this next couple of days to really realign with what you want and your goals. Just, for business, for social media, for your life. Okay. Because when I post this flywheel effect for you guys, I'm going to post it in the page, but I immediately was like, oh my gosh, like I've had that happen in my life before. Even the doom loop, I've had that happen in like life experiences before. So sometimes some of the things that we're doing on social media for our business are so relatable in life. And that's why I shared a little post the other day about sometimes you got to take a break, realign yourself. I think it's very important to be honest with people and just say, hey, I'm realigning this week. Okay. Or I'm rebranding, I'm relaunching in 2023. I am Kristen Scott now, right? I am this, and this. It's totally okay to do that. No one's going to call you out. If they do, just tag me and I'll deal with them. No, I'm just kidding. But we will have more about the launch of the challenges and the app and all that stuff as we get closer we'd like to have it by January 1st, but like just saying on Monday, you never know with the Apple Store. So what I really wanted to help you out with today was just having the courage to execute in 2023, having the courage to really show up, because there are people who are watching you. There are people who need to keep watching you so that they can understand that they themselves, their story, whatever it might be, I'm not going to use the other S word that we shouldn't use, but their story of hardship can have success, can have whatever they want and happiness out of life, right? They can grow into something just like you have. So hopefully today this helps you make some more execution on your social media. You guys, we will not see you until next year. And for some reason, I don't know why, I get a kick out of saying that to people. See you next year. I'm that person. I know it's annoying to people, but I love going, see you next year. But seriously, we'll see you next year. And if there's anything I can ever do for you guys, remember to really utilize that Hustle and Slay Facebook group. It's really a community for you to connect with people. Maybe over the next couple of days, you find somebody in there and you message them and just like connect, tell each other a little bit about each other. I always recommend too finding somebody in a different company, because I think it's so important to see what goes on. Like, and I feel like you're more open and honest. Some people sometimes in the same company are like, I don't want to tell you what's going on over here. We're not doing that here. So find someone inside the group that you can connect with and maybe just say, hey, in 2023, I'm going to do this. And I love doing stuff like that, because then in December of 2023, I will go and I will screenshot to people the stuff they said to me in January. And sometimes it doesn't make them feel good, but sometimes it makes them feel really good because they're like, I did it. So go out and do it. I know you're capable. Love you guys. See you next year.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.